Once the Take Payment button appears, we may click on the Take Payment button and it'll bring up our payment entry window. The customer actually has three methods of payment, so they can use three different methods of payment to pay for their products. Payment number one has a payment method of any one of these particular drop downs from the payment type. I know Chia at the conventions takes cash, MasterCard, or Visa. And then you can enter the expiration month, expiration year. The pay date is already entered. And then the payment number. If this is a credit card, usually the last four numbers on the credit card paying card, and then the payment amount. So in this case, we'll go ahead and say a bogus Visa with the bogus date of 2014. And the last four on the card's number would be 1245. And then they're just going to pay the full amount, 88.74. You'll notice down here that customer name, customer phone, and customer address appear below so that you can verify that you've indeed entered the customer's name, phone, and address, so that the Chia office staff can take that information and create it within the system or update their info, or be able to contact them if something goes wrong with the processing of the card or a myriad of other things. You'll also notice up here, once this payment is complete, payment number 2 now becomes enabled. And payment number 2 would be if you paid $88 here, but they had 74 cents in cash, so they can choose payment number 2, which is basically kind of a split transaction, split payment kind of a system. But for the most part, most people will pay everything on one pay method. So we'll choose done. And now we see our grand total says 88.74, our payment received says 88.74, and our balance due is 0. And now we have our third button enabled, which is our print receipt. And if we click on that, our receipt is generated. And we have Chia transaction receipt, receipt number, gives the user's name and info along with the comment. In addition, it outlines the quantity, product name, whether or not the product was back ordered, the price on each particular item, the discount amount, the extended price, and then the method of payment, Visa, and all was put on the Visa, payment received, no balance due. Okay, we can print this, click print, and it'll be generated to the printer. Once we've done printing, we close it, and we'll notice here we have save and exit is available, and we can click on save and exit now, and that saves the transaction and exits the transaction as well. And that allowed us to create our transaction. Now, to view that transaction, we can go to view transactions to see if all of that information was correct, or we can reprint the receipt. Let's click on view transactions. Alright, and right here we can see our last transaction, Bart Kemp. That was our test, and our trans total was 88.74. And as you can see here from the status, it is a live transaction. You have the ability to change the actual statuses on each of your transactions to 3 different status options. The first option is live, and that's added by default. The next option is test. So if what you're doing is a test, you can change that transaction or those transactions to test. And the last option is deleted. Once you've added a transaction, you cannot delete the transaction. However, you can mark the transaction for deletion. The office staff will determine whether or not the transaction needs to be deleted or if a correction needed to be made. Once we're done viewing the item, we can go ahead and click close, or we can reprint a receipt. Or we can print the payment summary. Or we can set the filter for the reports as well. Once we're all done, we'll click close and close the view transactions window.